You are here at another masterclass. As usual, you know that we do these things bi-monthly so that we not only generate interest for upcoming musicians or stakeholders in the music industry, but also to foster a community and have all our questions answered and give ourselves a support system. So this particular one is about music production, and this is a part 2 to the one that was done in May. And the previous one was focusing more on the technical aspect, but now we are coming to focus on the ethos and the mindset and the various practices and all you need to know in terms of making music production a formidable career. So, welcome. My name is Nestor Ankuvi, but most of you here know me as Kuvi. How many of you have heard any of my production credits? Mad up. So, first off, we'll introduce our engineer / producer, Sammy Cube. Sammy Cube, where are you? Say hi to Sammy Cube in the back. Oh, that's Sammy Cube. Honorable mention to AJ and TT Owusu. Please sit down. Oh, so you use the other mic. All right, cool. Old school. All right, so Sam here is a good friend of mine. I've known him along my journey of being a producer. He's a very formidable engineer, but it doesn't stop there. He's an amazing producer, and he's been responsible for... Why am I even introducing him? Please introduce yourself. Pick up the mic. Show your skills.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Sammy Cube, or some people call me Kube. Fine, it's okay. So I'm a mixing mastering engineer. Sometimes I produce, not every time. I'm a live sound engineer too. For those who might not know who a live sound engineer is, it's just like a mixing engineer, but like on a concert level. So when you go to a concert and you enjoy the sound, there's somebody like me back there. I'm live sound engineer for Manifest, Walasi, to name a few. I produce too from time to time. For those of you who have heard any of the Black Girls Glow albums, I produce a couple of songs on there. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Mad up. Next, I'll do the difficult name next because I want to get over and done with. But introducing next, we have Abayomi, Big Fish, Ileri Olua. So, Big Fish, I hope I didn't butcher your name. I did well. Okay, mad up. So please pick up a mic and introduce yourself.
Hello? Okay. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? My name is Abayomi Ilerolua, also known as Big Fish. I'm a producer from Nigeria. I've worked with the likes of Wizkid, Tiwa Savage, CK, just to name a few. What else? Okay, I'm also a talent developer. I work with labels to recruit and sign, undiscover talents on Instagram, everywhere, all that. And so far, so good. We're good. Yeah. That's not about that. Thank you.
Yeah. Please, round of applause. Hey, Charlie, a whole Wizkid producer is here, and this is the claps you are giving. Come on. Yeah. Now we're talking. Okay. Now you're doing it. You're overdoing it. All right. So, up next, we have the wonderful Christa. Okay, so round of applause. So just like Big Fish, I just had the lovely pleasure of meeting both gentlemen here today. So please introduce yourself.
What's up, everybody? My name is Christa. And I make music for a living, you know. I'm a music producer. What else? I'm from South Africa. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here, man. Yeah.
Wonderful. Please clap. So our very own Winter Warrior is very modest and very humble. He didn't throw out the names just yet. I'm sure he will throw it along if you're wondering. But feel free to Google them. And also later on, I'll let them give their Instagram handle so that you can find more about what they've done in the game and the various artists they've helped. So now, shall we get into it? All right. So before I get to the boring questions that I've put over here, I would want to ask each and every one of you, what made you get into the music game as a producer? Like, what fascinated you? What was your interest? Like, why did you choose this path?
Okay, so I remember growing up, I love music. Actually, I think I used to love music when I was little than now. Now it's like I've had enough, so I don't really listen to music. But growing up, I used to like listen to music a lot. Like I take in every kind of music, every type, no matter any genre of music. I'll be listening, and like I'll be so obsessed with like how the music came about. You know, and I'll be listening. I'm like, how did they do this? And I didn't understand, as a kid, I didn't understand that there were people like engineers. All the people I knew on the like front lines of music were DJs. So I thought people like DJs were making the music, you know. So, I mean, growing up, when I came to realize that there were like people called engineers, and I was like, wow, okay, so these are actually the people, you know, in the studio doing this and that and that and that. So that kind of set me on a journey. And I just realized that all the music that I had like ingested over the years growing up was going to be what will like lay the foundation for the job that I'm about to start. So I think right after, during senior high school, I dabbled a bit. I got my hands on FL Studio. Yeah. Very huge thanks to FL Studio because they've really helped. You know, growing up, they used to like look down on it. Immediately you mention FL Studio, the big guys would be like, what? No, that's toy. That's this. But today, see. So like, I got my hands on it, you know, without any supervision. I was just trying to play around. It was difficult, and then I gave up. And I think after school, when I was finished with school, I had time. So I went back into it, and then I stuck to it. And, you know, gradually, I was able to, you know, find my feet around. And then, along the line, I realized that, okay, there's mixing and mastering, which was a bit more, you know, technical, and which I gravitated towards too. And also because I couldn't play the keyboard. So production was, you know, if you don't play the keyboard, you are not as fast as someone who plays. Those who play the keyboard are very, you know, quick. Yeah, you're able to come up with chords on the fly. Because I don't play the keyboard, I have to sit down and like, you know, try, and it will take me a long time to put my chords together. Still, even now, it takes me a while. That's actually one of the reasons why I say I don't produce a lot. I produce once in a while. Yeah, so I mean, gradually that's what has brought me to where I am today. Yeah. Mm.
So how I got into music was, I've always, you know, had, music has been part of my whole life. Growing up, you know, when I was young, when we used to clean on Saturdays, my mom would bring out the old cassette player, you know, she played Shade Adu, play jazz, a lot of stuff. Then when I used to when I was in primary school, we wake up like 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m., because my school was far, so when I'm done taking my bath, dressing up, we're eating, they play jazz on NTA, then. And I've always been fascinated about like what moves me about music. There's just something that happens to you when you hear, the sonics of like, music. My dad, my dad is a pastor. Most of us started from the church actually. So my dad's a pastor, and he didn't used to let me touch the church instruments, so I won't spoil it or nothing like that. So after church, I just go touch a few keys here, there. I play the drums. He do all that. Same like him in high school. I came across FL Studio, and so I was looking for games actually, and then I'm like, oh guy, what's this? He's like, oh, Fruity Loops. I'm like, what's Fruity Loops? It looks like Tetris, but okay. So I got it, and after some time, I figured out, oh, it's for making beats. I'm like, well, then I used to listen to a lot of David Guetta, all of that, and I'm like, okay, I'd like to actually try this out, So I think that was how it like kicked off for me. From there to university, I started traveling to Lagos, the big city, doing all that. And music is amazing. Music is wonderful, It just does something to us that, nothing else can do. Yeah, music is powerful. That's how I go into music. Yeah.
Hey, so how I got into music, my parents are pastors, both of them. So I grew up in church, and then we would always go through the keyboardists. They're there for 6 months and they leave. They need to get another one. My father was like, no, man, let's train this son. So I started playing keyboard, and then, I started dreaming of just becoming a musician. But all I knew back then, I was not allowed to listen to secular music. It was only, Kirk Franklin, Mary Mary, Fred Hammond. So my dream was always like, yo, one day I want to play keyboard for Kirk Franklin. That was my dream for the longest time. And then what happened? I think I saw a friend of mine rapping during like these youth groups, So some guys came and they were rapping, but it was, gospel hip hop. So I was very inspired, man. And then I started rapping. So as I started rapping, for my birthday one day, my father bought me FL Studio. But he didn't know what it was, because I was just like, yo, I want to record. So he bought me FL Studio, FL Studio 7, way. FL7. So I get the software. I don't know how to use it. I don't know what's going on, but And then after a little bit of research, like, oh, this thing's for making beats. So I started just, dabbling around. But I think the dream was always to be a rapper or to, But then because I play keys, every room I'd end up quote unquote producing. Because they're like, no, you can, like you're saying, it takes a while, so when it's a room full of musicians, it's like, dude, just play quickly just to, So I would end up more producing than, being on the mic. And I think my passion changed from that to actually making music. I think also because I'm able to diversify more. You go from your Afrobeat to your hip hop to your R&B, versus I feel like if I was a rapper, I would just be focused on one thing. So every time music gets monotonous for me, and it's like, yo, I'm tired of making trap, I can tap into amapiano, we do an Afrobeat, and so that's basically how I got into music.
Wow. I see parallels between your stories and mine, because just like him, I discovered FL, but the person I hoped to mentor me was being snobbish about it. Just like him, just like the two of you, I've always wondered how music was able to touch us inside. And just like you, my parents weren't pastors, but they were rooted in the faith and always wanted me to do something in the faith with my music talent. But I think we are inspiring people more than because the faith is in what we do. So yeah, I'm happy that we are in this together. So now the boring question. What steps would you recommend for someone who wants to become a music producer? Are there specific skills or experiences they should prioritize?
In my opinion, I genuinely think this thing is easy. I swear, I feel like it's so easy, and I think if there's anything you want to improve in, you just do it, and you do it more and more and more. Like I used to be terrible at FIFA. I don't know if you guys play FIFA a lot. I used to dream of I used to dream of being a FIFA master, you know. Every time I play with my friends, you know, they beat me every single time. But I went on YouTube, I checked tutorials, I practiced when they're not there, you know, and that's how you improve a skill. And I believe that if you can do the same with music, do whatever you want to do, I think you can improve. You just got to be consistent. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Okay, so
First of all, I think you need to like find your niche. You know, I believe that everybody's special. You know, I believe that everybody has something that they connect to. You know, for one person it might be trap. For one person it might be, you know, R&B. For one person it might be, you know, folk music. You know, I feel like you should find what you connect to the most and like, you know, try to start from there. You know, at the beginning you will make a lot of money. I don't even want to sugarcoat. I don't want to sugarcoat. You will make a lot of money. But like I promise you, when you find your sound, you will be special and nobody will be like you, you know. And then also, practice. People would say practice and, you know, it just seemed like, oh, like everybody says practice. But I promise you, I'm an example, I'm a prime example of that because I had people that I started, you know, production, you know, at the same time with, and like for 2 years, I was making a beat every single day. I promise you, I was making a beat every single day. Over time, I just figured that, I've actually gotten so much better. You know, like, and then your sonics, you know, how you mix your beats, how you choose your sounds, how you pick, you know, your chords. When you start out, you might be throwing in everything, like your beats will sound loud and full, but like after some point, you're like, no, I don't need this. Let me take this out. That is what practice does to you. You know, over time, you learn, and you become great at what you do.
Yeah, okay. So I think, as up and coming, you know, music producer, from my experience, there are some things that I think if you're able to get, you know, it kind of solidifies the foundation for you, and that is your listening skills. Okay, and your listening skills come when you listen more. So the more you listen to music, the more, you know, you soak it in. Just soak it in. Don't take it too serious. Like, just listen. I used to be so obsessed with like having a Walkman that I remember this was like class 6. Yeah, class 6. For a whole term, I saved my feeding money just to buy a Walkman at the end of the term. So on our day, I show up with my Walkman and a bunch of cassettes and a headphone. Like, I'm not playing. Like, that's how, like, and that's where it started. So, like, every time, all through junior high school, from the time, you know, going to school, it takes me about 45 minutes. So for the 45 minutes, when I'm in the car, I always have like headphones on. I'm listening to music. I'm listening. You know, I didn't know what I was doing then, but it kind of shaped my ear to be able to listen and hear tones and tune and be able to tell that, oh, if somebody is singing something and it sounds off, you know it's off. I didn't know what it meant at that time, but then I hear it, I'm like, no, that doesn't sound good. This sounds good. You know, so your listening skills. And then I think the other thing too is if you're able to learn an instrument, you know, anything, or even if you can get the backgrounds in an instrument. I started, in church, they bundled us, the kids up, and they were like, hey, come and learn keyboard. I actually wasn't interested. Like, I didn't have any interest. Like, I don't know. But they were like, hey, all of you, come and sit down. They will teach you keyboard. And all my friends who were in that class, they took it more serious than I. I didn't. So that's how come. But I was able to get the basics, the basics of, the theory and all that. It was the practical parts that I was just like, But then, at least I have that. So it makes, the rest of the job ahead of you a little bit more easy. And then when you start realizing things, you'll be like, okay, because of something that you did back then or something that you learned back then, you are now like applying it. And like they said, practice. When I got FL Studio, like I said, I think first day, second day, I was like, nah, bro, what the hell is this? Like, this is too much. Like, I didn't, so I dropped it, But then I think I realized that when I wanted to, get into it, I thought there was going to be an easier way for me to do it. But I realized that, I think FL Studio was like the simplest method for me back then. So I went back to FL Studio. And this was after senior high. I had a lot of time on my hands. I wasn't doing anything. So I got on it and then, I remember one of the learning how to use it was to sample other songs that are out there. And I went on YouTube and I saw that someone had sampled Egyptian's Hold Ya. Yeah, and I was like, wow, okay, you could do this in FL? I was like, okay. So I started, trying to replay some of my favorite songs. So I remember I played Hamas Okodie. It wasn't bad. I mean, as at that time, I was so proud of myself that I was able to do that. And by doing that, I had, trained myself to learn how to use the software itself, because each of those softwares we have, they have their nicks and knacks. Logic has Cubase, Pro Tools, all the DAWs, Ableton Live, they have their nicks and knacks. So when you're able to, pick whichever one that you have at your disposal, you try and, do stuff like that just to practice. It's the practice. The more you do it, the better you get. The more you do it, the better you get, yeah.
So I'm gathering from this, practice, a lot of practice, because you've said it, practice a lot of times. Dedication, not just being thrown off by the difficulty of learning or adapting or trying something new, just sticking to it. Then patience, because you're not going to see money in the first few years. Then what else am I missing? Confidence. Yeah, you need a lot of confidence and and adaptability. So those are the 5 most important skills. I would say they are ethical skills more, but like these are as good as the technical skills itself. All right, so for this question, I need the responses to be very, very brief, but how important do you consider formal education in music production to be? Can you get by without it, or will it help you in the long run if you take it up?
You seem ready.
Okay, all right. Like, I mean, formal education, good. If you're able to get it, if it's an option that you can afford, perfect. I have friends who've had formal education in music. They've gone to what is this School of Audio Engineering in South Africa? Yeah, Joshua, Adome's brother, Tronomy. Yeah, he's one example. He's one of the people I know who've had like formal education and like this music and aside from having the talent that you have and the passion that you have, formal education in a very good educational institute is going to really polish you up. It's going to really polish you up. And then aside from that, you have the paperwork to. There are some advantages that comes with it, you know. But that is not the only way. It's just one of the ways. Me personally, there wasn't anything formal about. Yeah. There wasn't anything formal about. Everything was like self-taught. By the time, like, I was trying so hard to get into a studio to see how a studio works. And let's say I started after senior high school 2012. I wasn't able to like step in an actual studio until about 2017. That's like 5 years. Because I was actually hitting up engineers and trying to see, oh, boss, how can I want to come to the studio? I want to see how he's doing. I want to see. And by the time, you know, it got to that time, I think I had already done everything on my own. And, you know, we bless God for YouTube. By that time, YouTube was like really picking up. And we didn't have a lot of content creators there. So it wasn't too saturated then. It was okay. When you search for something, you get it straight. So YouTube really helped. You know, you pick this here. If you know what you are looking for, when you go on YouTube, you find it. How to do this. Okay, you go, you see it, you try it, it works, then you move on. So yeah, that's that. Yeah.
So when I finished my school, I did go to study sound engineering and music production. I think for me personally, so I didn't finish because of financial, you know, issues we had back home. So I never had the opportunity to finish. I never had the papers to say, hey, I have, you know. But in my personal experience, the one thing I got out of that was networking. It was having peers who I started with, and some of them have gone to be some of the biggest artists, but we met back then, you know, and we started growing. And I think that might be the most important thing. I know some people who have their papers and, you know, they Pro Tools certified, whatever, but they're terrible musicians, frankly. You know, they're not good at making music. So I think it depends what you want to do. If you want to be in spaces where, you know, you are a sound engineer in these specific spaces and, you know, they need, okay, you need a diploma and whatever, go for it. If you want to do music for gaming, you know, all those niche spaces that you want to enter. But for the most part, man, I think a lot of, especially from a music production standpoint, bro, you just going, bro. We're just doing this thing, you know. That's my 2 cents, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I would say it depends on what you want to do in music. If you want to be a sound engineer, if you go to school for, you know, sound engineering, perfect, great. You learn a lot, you know, a lot of things that will take you a long time to learn on YouTube and all that. You learn it there, you know, technical terms, you know, setting, what's it called, devices, plugins, you know, all that, how to maneuver, theoretical stuff, you can do that. But when it comes to music production, you know, it's more of a feeling. Most things you do are like, you know, a feeling. I promise you can choose to say, oh, I'm making a song in major scale, and at the end, you're moving to minor, you know. So all these things you don't necessarily have to learn them by the book, you know. It's a feeling. What I would tell you to do is learn the basics. How to find key. How to, you know, just chord relativity, all that. How to name chords, you know, all that will help. How to identify instruments, what you need in this, what you don't need in this, you know, all that. It might help for the foundation. But again, I'd say it depends on what you need to do. It depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to do music for gaming, you know, you might have to learn synths and all that. If you want to do live recording, yeah, live sound, definitely you need to do that. But if you want to do like production, you know, R&B, gospel, all that, there's nothing you learn in the books, you know. So yeah, it really depends on what you want to do.
So I'm guessing they are going along the lines of one wise great man called Sean Carter when he said, you can pay for school, but you can't buy class. Basically,
Facts.
so basically, it's good to go to school for these things, for the know-how, but it won't teach you how to do it because the rest of it has to do with your charisma and the soul. Because music is not just formulas and equations and know-how, but it also has to do with soul. You might have to find unconventional solutions to certain things because maybe like somebody singing in a key that you're not used to, you can't tune that. Or somebody wants something indigenous, you can't replicate that. So find a fine balance between both. Don't feel like you've been left out because you didn't go to school for this. Just find your way around it. Apply what you know where it counts. All right. So now, you guys are actually answering a lot of these questions before we get to them. But the next thing, what are common mistakes that you see new producers making, and how can you avoid them? How can they avoid these mistakes?
Mistakes. I think it might be the business side of things. Not knowing what publishing is, not knowing what rights you have as a music producer, especially when you start working with established artists, and now there's different types of revenues. I'm sure we're going to talk about it later, but I think that might be the most important thing, Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Registering, your PRO, all that, how to collect royalties and whatnot. Basically, the business side of it. And then also, I think some producers might be falling into the trap of type beats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, I'd really tell you to be true to what you are. And, like, if you see that, oh, this is what is, making money, try to do what you know and, like, join it with what is popping. You never know. You could be the next trend. So, yeah, that.
I think just as they said, on the business side of coming up, we all we all made like that mistake of not like putting things right. I mean, for some of you, it might seem like it's a lot of work, which it is. Like that actually brings to bear the importance of having why maybe you see that some people have like people handling like the business side of things for them. It's not anything. It's just that it's a lot because you are like a creative person. You want to concentrate on playing your beat and stuff like that. And then now there's like, you have to register here. You have to register here. You have to, it's, when you get into it, it's a bit confusing. But I think, when you are working with especially established acts and you feel like maybe you are not there yet, with the registering and all that, just have, a paperwork down with signatures and everything. Something like, should I say, an MOU or something. Very simple document that can come, will become important when you are finally maybe doing your registration. Some of you might be too young because I think some of these registrations require payment, $100 and things, which might be a lot for some of you and, to keep track of. So, in the beginning stages, just have that. We learned when I was starting, one of my first professional projects that I worked on was Walassi's first album, Nuse. And that's what we did. By that time, we really didn't know what any of those things were. But we knew that, okay, this is the percentage I'm supposed to get. So we did a very simple signing. Okay, Cube, you are getting this percentage. This person is getting this person is. And we just, so I think it was about 2 or 3 years later that we properly now went back to that document and we all did our registration. Okay, and then we translated all that in there. So I think in the beginning, even if you haven't done any of that, a simple document with witnesses can help you some years, when you want to like start getting your money and stuff. Yeah. Good.
So, just to add to that, I know when you guys are in your production journey, you would be dealing with a lot of people and you'll be doing a lot of freebies. And not necessarily because you don't know your value, but you just want to get in the game. But at the end of the day, protecting yourself and your rights are important. You have to know your fundamental rights when it comes to being a music producer, what you're entitled to, so that it's not even just about what you get, but know what not to ask for. Because you can't ask for 50% of somebody's masters, but you can ask for 50% on the publishing side. So you have to know what to ask for and what not to ask for and apply that. So what I would recommend is in every month, just take 1 week out of every month to make sure you know or you learn about the business side of things and apply. Because sometimes you won't have that $100 ready to pay for your memberships for joining a PRO or a rights collection agency. But you are adding more knowledge. Just as much time you dedicate to learning how to create, you also have to dedicate that to making sure you earn from your craft. So now, the next question. I think they've already shared some very important traits, the 5 traits that came out of when I asked the important skills. So now I'll ask, what trends or changes in the industry should emerging producers be aware of as they begin their careers, especially in this day and age?
Emerging producers need to be aware of the numerous ways you can make money from music. It's not just from music production. You can sell packs, you can sell plugging, what's it called? Presets. Yeah, you can sell presets. You can open a YouTube channel to talk about, producers on the charts, all that. There's so many things, there's so many ways you can make money from music right now, not just on the production side. So I feel like, yeah. And then also AI, using AI in your production. Some people might say, oh, AI is here to take our jobs. AI, so you just need to learn how to use, these things, yeah. That.
Yeah, just as my brother said, I think I would like to tap. I was about to say the AI thing, together with like technology, staying up to date with like the latest technology trends in relation to music, production. And one of them is immersive audio. I'm sure some of you, or spatial audio. Yeah, I mean, it's whether we like it or not, it's here. I remember I watched a documentary, and way back in the, 70s or whatever, when, music, when audio was a thing, there was nothing like stereo. It was just mono. There was nothing like stereo. Everything was mono. They didn't know what stereo was. And then stereo came, and then they were like, hey, what the hell is that? No, we don't like stereo. It's too weird. It sounds, And stereo is what we grew up listening to. So imagine, I don't know if some of you have tried to listen to something in mono. It doesn't really sound, it sounds unsettling. But that's actually what they liked back then. And then now stereo came in. It's the same with spatial audio. Spatial audio is here to stay. And right now, they are making products, in line with spatial audio. So, like, some of my engineer friends, we are not so happy because it's like more work for us now. Because now we're mixing, you have left and right monitor. And now, because of spatial audio, you need to set up monitors around you and have like about 7 points. You have like about 10 monitors. Like, imagine spending money to, the upgrade, like upgrading all that stuff. But It's also a learning curve for us. So right now, we don't really have an option. It's like, what's the industry, the direction that the industry is going in. And I'm also learning on the job. We are now trying to get into spatial audio. You know, there's a way that you can use headphones to still get the work done. And we are learning. Like, we are also, even at our level, we are always like upgrading. The last time I watched an interview with Zap Mallet. I don't know if any of you know Zap Mallet. He's one of the producers from way back. You know, if you know Dasube Jamanes Kokoko, it's one of the things Zap Mallet produced, you know. He's a phenomenal guy. And he was saying the same thing, that like the technology has really come like a long way. And even him at his age, I think he's about 60 something or 70, he was saying that he still is like learning the new methods, you know, that things are done, you know, so that he's much more efficient. So the technology, AI part, but with AI, I think you should be careful when you are working with AI. You don't overly depend on it. You know, there are some parts that you can pick from AI. You have to find a way to let AI do the job, but you, the human being, have to make like the final decision of what you use from the AI to kind of finish it off. You know, so don't, it's not going to take our jobs. The human factor will always be like something that AI cannot replicate. You know, the vibe, the feeling factor. You know, when you listen to something, you get goosebumps. So far, I haven't heard anyone say they've heard or they've seen something that AI has done that they've gotten goosebumps. You know, no. Which I hope will never ever happen. In Jesus' name. Yeah, but you know, just keep an eye on it. Like, don't ignore it. Just keep following the whole AI trend, and like just use it to guide how you learn and improve. Yeah.
All right. So from where I'm getting this, constantly upgrade your knowledge in the field and in the technology too, so that you don't run short and you stay ahead of the curve at all times. All right, cool. So I'll also urge all of you to keep your phones on silent and apply yourselves to this conversation so that we get the most out of it. All right, so now, my least favorite part, networking and connecting with artists. I don't know if you know, but I'm an inside man myself. That's why the studio is perfect for me. It's my cave where I hide and I don't have to talk to anybody. I just do my thing. But it's sad that in order for me to make bread, I have to connect with people. So please help me out. How do we strategize to effectively build relationships with artists and get them to collaborate?
So first of all, you have to start from your immediate surrounding. There might be one guy, that has potential somewhere. Don't look down on him. Bring him close. Try to do 2 or 3 or 4 songs. You never know. That person could pop tomorrow. And then on the networking side, for me, I have been regarded as like one of the... When people are like, oh, how did you work with this person? How did you meet this person? I'm like, it's Instagram. It's just Instagram. So what I do is that when I see someone, post like a cover of something or, like an original song, might not be a big artist, if I really like it. Now, the thing is, I'm always, genuine, So I'm like, if I really like it, I'll DM them. I'm like, oh, this song you did, I really like this song, I wish you all the best. 3-4 years later, they're big. It's always easier for me to, get in contact. Like, oh, this guy hit me up. He might not have wanted to work with me then, but he had good wishes for me and everything. So it's always easier for me to connect with them. And that has always worked for me. I promise you, it has. CK. So on CK's last album, I think I did 4 or 5 songs. I did a song with Krista, and Krista. This is the first time I'm meeting Krista. And we did a song on CK's album, and what happened was I hit CK up in 2017. I'm like, oh, this song you put out, I really love this song. I'm not producing yet, but like I'm learning, but like I really love this song. I love this and this and this in the production. It was like a paragraph. I'm like, I hope to work with you soon. And CK just liked it. For me it was a lot. It was a lot back then, but like after some years, I met him somewhere. I'm like, oh, how you doing, man? I hit you up like 2 or 3 years ago. Then but now I'm a producer. I love to work with you. He's like, really? And then I opened my DM, like, oh, you. So we did the first one, the first EP. The next EP came. We did another song. Love One Titi blew up everywhere. Did the album. I did like 4 or 5 songs, additional production or whatnot. So like these are the things that help, Interpersonal relationships also, you see this person like, oh, bro, how you doing? I just thought about you. How you doing? I just thought to check in on you. They have you at the back of their mind. That is also something. You go for shows, try as much as possible to get backstage, It might cost you an extra, it might cost you an extra piece, but like try to get backstage. Meet people, oh, hey, how you doing? Get in contact with their managers. Managers are the most overlooked people, because it might just be one normal person, dressed in dashiki or native or something, or, meet them, oh, hello, how you doing? I'm a producer, da-da-da. It's always easy for you to get to the to the manager than for you to get to the artist, because there's 1,000,001 people trying to get to the artist. But the manager is always looking for, oh, the next deal, the next show, or the next... So if you hit them up, they're paying attention, And if you're good, you're in. So that's basically that.
Now, man, I'd also say if I visit your Instagram, I should immediately see what you do. I think a lot of musicians, we sleep on, visibility. So if I click on his profile, I know exactly who he is, what he does, his track record. So if I'm DMing someone, they click on my profile, oh, he's done this, and we connect. That seems to be the easiest thing now. But I will also say, just the people around you, like he already said, that might be the most important thing, because especially as you're growing, you grow together. So if it's an artist, if it's a producer, you guys end up growing together. And I think those relationships are the most important ones. Like you'll meet a CK every now and then, you'll meet but having like, yo, this is Big Fish, we grew up wherever together, and today we're here now. We used to be terrible together. Look at us now. That's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and that, it's just along the same lines as they are talking about. I remember coming up, like when I didn't really know anything, I picked a couple of my juniors in high school, and I told them, yo, I have a studio at home, you guys should come. And way back then, you have guys who were very enthusiastic about recording the rappers, and they want to record like sci-fi and things. And we were all, sci-fi. I don't know how many of you know what a sci-fi is. Yeah, sci-fi, like, yo, Charlie. So, like, we were all, like, high on the energy of, discovering this new music path. So, I'm like, and I was doing it for free. Like, Charlie, they'll come home, they'll come and record. We finish, we give it to them, they go back to school, entertainment, they perform it, everybody's happy, they come back, and we're all happy just, because it was like the beginning stages. But in a way, it was, connecting, networking, making friends. Some of them were not people that I was cool with, but because of that, we were now cool. Some of them didn't really have anything to do with music after that, but they'll give you a recommendation. We'll be like, yo, I know this guy here. Okay. And it keeps going on and it keeps going on. Yeah, so that's one of the things, starting up, don't be too, secluded and quiet. And like, I know it's hard. Most of the time, people like us end up, doing what we are doing because we are like anti-so, in like, nah, Charlie, no, I don't want to do this. I'm too like, if this was like some years ago, you wouldn't have seen me here. I would have given a very flimsy excuse. Or I would have, yeah. Like it took me a while to build up my courage to be able to start talking like this. Because I really didn't like talking. I really didn't like, sit in front of people and stuff like that. But it takes a while, approaching people like, yo, Charlie, what's up? Telling people what I do. Sometimes they're like, yo, meet this guy. This is what he does. And I'm so shy and I don't want to tell anybody what I do. I just want to be like, of course, your work has to speak for itself, but sometimes you have to, talk. It's not every time that somebody will be like, okay, let me go and check what you've done. No, there's no time. Somebody just wants to hear you speak, or someone wants to hear you say, introduce yourself, like, this is my name, this is what I do. Oh, okay, let's link up, blah, blah, blah. Then we move. And then also, like, there was a trend. There was one guy that I started working with that he had a habit of, we're all like in a neighborhood, and he had a habit of, like saying, like, he doesn't, like, he was always hitting, then times he'll go to Facebook or like Instagram, Twitter, he'll be hitting the likes of Sako there. And that was where he was always looking, like Sako the EL. Like, he was like, bro, I want to work with you guys. And he wasn't really paying attention to, there was like a whole queue at his studio almost all the time, because he was good. And people want to come and record with him and stuff. But he was too, like tunnel vision. He wasn't really looking, But I think along the line, we had a conversation amongst ourselves, and he started opening up. And it was one of the guys that he wasn't really looking at that actually gave him his big break. Yeah, I think he's called Frank Guy. He had a huge, like, some sync deal, and then it took the both of them to, like, Japan or something. And then now they are, like, in video games and stuff like that. So, like, you don't know who is going to, like, give you your big break. Just be kind. I know it's hard, but Charlie, just be kind, to the boys around you who are coming up, who want to work with you and stuff like that. Yeah.
So what I'm gathering is start small with your immediate surroundings. Find your next big thing. And that applies to me because even when I started breaking ground into the Ghanaian mainstream industry, that's when I had just joined Villain Sounds. But you will not see an established artist there, not because they weren't getting the production credits, but the thrill of knowing who was next, like, just did something to me. So that's where Lamem Gang came out of, Amare, Kiddy, a tall list of names. Basically, Villain Sounds pioneered music from 2015 to about 2019, because the trends that were coming out of Villain Sounds from all these emerging acts were permeated into the soundscape, and for a brief period of time, our mainstream was almost becoming alternative. You understand? So that's the power of building a community within the people who are around you the most. Don't always look for the big fish, because not only will they overlook you, but when they catch you, they will do you dirty. You understand? Not all of them, but most likely than none. So, like, just start small. Present yourself well. Don't have an Instagram page that looks like mine at all. Do not. Like, it's okay to flaunt what you've done. It's okay to put out things that you think people should hear. Then also, take your presentation seriously. Yeah, we are introverted, but it's important for us to look the part so that at least we attract people to see what's in our world. You understand? And also at least try every week to go to a music-related event and introduce yourself to somebody you think can take your career to the next stage. Big and small. All right, cool. So each of you, I just need, 2 doors that you work with, or you feel like they should know. 2 each. No long paragraphs.
Only 2. I use everything, man. but obviously, if FL Studio is the foundation, I've been on Logic a lot recently, but yeah.
Yeah. So FL Studio and Logic, you?
FL Studio for production, Logic for recording and mixing.
Okay, you.
Yeah, same here. FL Studio for production and Cubase for mixing, and the mastering, which I do more often than the production. So yeah, these two.
Thank God Cubase made it because I love I love Cubase so much.
It tends to get looked over quite a bit, but I think it's a matter of the Cubase is more popular in the European space. Yeah, I mean, it is. And then I think Pro Tools and Logic, the American space more. Yeah.
All right, so FL, Cubase. Don't look at me like that. Logic, I'll put Logic number 5.
Logic. Logic.
Don't hate on Logic.
I promise you, once you start recording on Logic, your life is going to change. Your life is going to change.
I mean, to be fair, what you call Logic is far more superior than Cubase, I must admit. But I still love Cubase. Ableton, Studio One.
I use Ableton too.
Logic is not. It's a lie. Don't let anyone.
It is.
It's a lie.
Okay.
FL number 1.
FL number 1, undoubted.
So at least we can all agree on something. But Cubase before Logic.
Logic before Cubase.
Yeah. Okay, install it on your PC. Anyway, so now, the question, they answered the next question as in not just specializing in one software, but making sure that you have your feet in a little bit, because what if one day your laptop crashes and you have, let's say, Rema in your studio and you haven't used Logic before? You don't want to be flat on your bum, not knowing what to do. At least flirt with a little bit, so that you are familiar with those softwares, so that when you find yourself in a room where you are needed, but you don't have your usual tools, you're not found wanting. All right, so my favorite part of the masterclass, the money. So, briefly state how producers can get paid for their work. You already said sync and just the performance rights and all of that, but how do you get paid? Like, in a simple sentence, how do you get paid for your work?
From a specific song, if I'm with the artist, there's usually a production fee, which is the money they will pay you in the moment, and obviously that's discussable, depending who it is, if they signed, record label budgets, or who you are and how much you can demand. But there's also royalties, and royalties are different. So there are master royalties, which, do you guys know what a master is? Because I feel like we talk about it a lot, but so a master is like the actual recording we worked on the day. Right? Then tomorrow he goes and he re-records it again. That's a different master. But this specific master that we are releasing, that's a master. Then there's the publishing side of things. So for the master, it depends, 5%, 3%.
3 to 5.
Yeah, depending on the record label. So meaning every time the song is streamed, I'm getting a few cents, and that money accumulates, and then I get paid by the record label. And then there's publishing royalties. So publishing is no matter how many times you re-record this master, because I came up with this idea. So if I have a melody, if I say there, you say I, that's the melody I created. No matter how many times you're gonna re-record it, I must get paid because that was my idea. That's intellectual property. So I came up with that. So yeah, every time that is played, I get from radio mostly, even TV shows, right? Sync deals.
Yeah, radio, TV, sync. That's when they use your song in the movie, when they use your song in the game.
Even if they re-record it, even if they re-sing it.
Sometimes when they play your song in like stadiums, all that. Yeah.
When they play in concerts too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes,
Right.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That publishing, sweet.
Yeah, publishing.
You never expect it,
Bro.
You you will never, but you need it. So like
Nah, it's
always
the best.
negotiate and just keep it.
Yeah.
So if you want to laugh like all of us did, please make sure you know your business well. Because you never know.
Yeah.
The quarterly checks, the monthly checks. My goodness.
Yeah. Also, like you could release a song, it might not do well. It might be there. 5, 10 years later, they could use that song in the movie.
Yeah.
60 years later, they could use that song in the movie.
Yes.
Oh my word. And it's like the older the better, Cause
Oh, they sample it. Oh, they sample it.
yeah, or they sample it.
Yeah.
And then let's say one person samples the song and everybody loves it, and then 3 more people want to sample.
Yeah.
In like, oh my word.
So
Yeah,
it's
so-
money for you, it's money for your kids, it's money for your kids' kids.
Yes. Yes. This is important.
Yeah.
You see why this is the favorite part of this conversation. Anyway, so now the
Sorry to interrupt you. I do want to point out there are other avenues as well, right? So, for example, I sell loops, I sell MIDI packs, and those are different avenues. I mean, there was a BeatStars type beat season that we had. I don't know if it's still happening now, but I don't think as a producer you should only focus on one thing and say, yo, I want to meet Davido one day. I want to, as a musician, you can look into other ways of making music. You just need to be creative as well. And yeah.
We'll shake Kanye West. I'm going to let you finish.
I'm going to let you finish.
Yeah. But anybody who harass me like that again runs the risk of doing 50 push-ups right here. Right here. Anyway, so, So now, since you interrupted me, you mentioned producer's fee.
Yes.
So in this climate, it's a very, very difficult thing to navigate, especially with established artists. So as a emerging producer, how do you go about negotiating your... No, I mean, you're not an emerging producer, but more for them. How do you go about negotiating your producer's fee?
Man, I think it might be the most difficult. I don't know. Because a lot of the songs are coming from a genuine place where it's me and my brother, and then I don't have money. What must happen? So a lot of my beats were free. A lot of them, but I was hoping to build. I mean, eventually I would get maybe $10 here, just something to hold me down. But I think in the long run, bro, publishing. Just make sure that even if I'm not getting paid, I'm getting my publishing. That way, if the song does blow up, I'm getting 50% of the song. Every time someone streams it, every time it's on radio, I think that's the most important thing, especially as an up-and-comer. The upfront fee might be a bit difficult. But what I will say, though, if they are signed to a record label and there's budgets, please have that conversation. I say this all the time. I don't mind working for free. I love doing this. I will do this tomorrow and the next day for free. But if everyone around me is getting paid and I'm the one who's not getting paid, I have a problem with that. And it can build up to a point where you genuinely hate making music because you feel you've been taken advantage of and all of that. So I will say, if they are signed, have the conversation. If they're independent and we're still figuring it out, it's your brother, just have the conversation.
Okay, so for me, the first song I did, I think I got paid like 10,000 naira. That should be like 10 CDs or something, So the thing is, I know. But it's just money to buy pizza and reward yourself you've done something, So I feel like you always need to let it be known that, there is worth on what you make. Even if it's as little as a pack of juice, even if it's one Hennessy bottle, there has to be some kind of worth you place on, I would say artists can't do without eating in a day. if they can sacrifice the money they spend in 2 days to be like, my guy, you tried for this. I promise you, it might be little, but there's just something up here that is like, oh, okay, this is my producer. If I make it, my guy has to make it. It's different from when you say, oh, you do stuff for free, you know. There's this, he will still do it for me. He will still run it for me. And when they start making money, there's this, guy, don't worry. It's come, you know. So like, as little as, I won't say, me personally, I will tell you, don't do it for free. Even if it's as little as a pack of juice, I promise you, let there be some worth on it. You know, that's the way to go. When you grow together, you can increase. So it's not like, oh, all of a sudden you're billing me. All of a sudden you want to collect money. Like, I thought we're doing it. I thought we're cool. You know, that when you're working with established artists, you know, signed to labels, the thing is that you need to understand that nobody is intentionally trying to, you know, cheat you. It's just the business. Everybody's trying to look out for themselves. So you have to look out for yourself as well. If an artist says, oh, this is my budget, do some background work. Find somebody that knows somebody that works in this label. Find out, okay, what their budget is, and you know how to find a producer that has worked with them before. Oh, how much do you charge this person? Look at your own catalog. You know, scale and be like, okay, this is what he has done. This is what I've done. Okay, I feel I could, you know, charge this person so amount. You know. Also, another thing is building catalog. It's very important. It's leverage. You know, in cases where you need to get to a certain position fast. Work with this person, reduce your rates. Once you have 20 songs and people know that, oh, this guy has done so and so, this guy no be small person, you know, you understand? You have leverage to build people, you know, and it also gives you some kind of confidence to be like, oh, I'm charging you for this and I'm standing on this, you know. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So, I mean, just along the same lines. Like they said, there are some people you can't really charge in the moment. They don't have. They don't. Yeah, it's and you know. So just make sure that you have that. You know, your publishing and everything done. Because, I mean, anything could happen especially within our time, where songs can like just blow up like in a twinkle of an eye on TikTok. You know, just get your publishing and everything. You know that you are entitled to 50% publishing as a producer. You know, basic, that one. Then whatever you want to, if you want to do it for free in the moment, that's fine, but you are still entitled to that. You can go ahead, depending on the act, like they said, you can get, you know, a little bit upfront something, you know, to sort a few things for yourself in the studio. Yeah. But, you know, just don't forget that your publishing is there. You know, your intellectual royalty, that one there. Don't forget that. Don't forget that at all. There were times when I was coming up that there were people that I worked with that I think I'm just lucky. It was like, the negotiation was like, you know, they wanted to pay it outright. They didn't want, in fact, they themselves, they didn't even know what those publishing and stuff was. And I remember us at that time, in the moment, I really charged, you know, to what I felt like. If I charge him this and I take this money, and even if the song blows, the song doesn't blow, I've taken this money and I'm okay. And there were times, you know, with acts like that who, like, we went into those kind of agreements. I didn't know then, but then if, for example, after some number of years and maybe that song blew up, I knew that in the moment I had a verbal contract with this person that I'm taking this and I'm done with you. You know, that's also there. But try not to do that. Like, it's bad.
Never do that.
Don't do that.
Never, ever.
Don't do that. Sometimes you are hungry and like you want to, you know, but don't do that. Never. Yeah. So that's that.
So just to confirm, anybody brought a project file to go through?
Yeah, I got my laptop. Man.
You have your laptop. Okay, I just wanted to do that because we are approaching the last few questions before the practical.
Him too.
Okay. Wow. I mean, do you have the project file that you worked together?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have that, then you can produce it together. I think you can go through it together. Then you can, what do you call it, share your outtakes on how the finishing process, even though you didn't work on it, how the finishing process, give an idea, give insight to how the finishing process was.
Okay.
As in after their
All right.
But so now, we've already done a lot about networking when we spoke about the connecting with artists. But what I like to add to the networking side of things is make use of Instagram ads, especially when you're starting out, because the only way you can put a value to what you should charge is if you can quantify what you are investing into it already. If aside from the studio time, the bills that you pay, the equipment that you have to buy, and all of that, make sure that whatever you are charging your production fee helps you contribute to paying those things and get more gear and get more knowledge, as opposed to just because. Let me even keep it real. I don't think half of you here, and not to throw you guys under the bus, but I don't think half of you here have bought a software in your life. So that's what makes it hard to put a price tag on it. But at the same time, when you take the step to invest in yourself, your presentation, how your music sounds, getting the best engineers, or even if it's not for a high budget, getting a great engineer that understands your sonic and is able to bring the life out of it, then that's when you can put a price on these things, because these add to the experience. And if it doesn't sound like how much you want them to pay for it, they won't pay. But if you feel it, it comes in the negotiation. So you have an idea of how much you've invested in yourself and your craft and what it should equate to when you are collecting your fees. But back to Instagram ads, that's a very useful tool because I use it, and for what I put in, for what I get out of it, is beyond. So try and understand how Instagram ads work so that you can be able to imbibe that in your marketing. Then, like we said earlier on, get out there, try and get backstage. But don't just go backstage looking like a bum, because they'll treat you like a bum. Yeah. Dress well. Speak well. Don't just let it be about what you're trying to get from them. Get to know them. Yeah, go ahead. Introduce yourself as a producer first and all of that, but connect with them. Don't just become friends, but get to know them, what they are trying to achieve, and how you can align with them, because they are not looking to just work with you. They are looking to align. Otherwise, if it's just about work, you just be working, and you get a production credit that's out there. So align with them so that you can be able to get the most out of that relationship. You are. So now, can we have somebody help Big Fish and Christa set up so that they can go through one of their projects so that you see how they started and finished?
It's chords, Very simple. Very simple. And then that's when I came with the kick, which goes like this. I don't know if you guys know the sound. It's an Amapiano sound. Yeah, we've been abusing it back home in South Africa. Yeah, so no, it's on Purity. So you got that, you got the shaker, and the kick, just fall on the floor. Hey, my bad. and then I started with percussion. So damn, it's such a simple beat, bro. Such a simple beat. And yeah, that's pretty much. So this part, let me show you guys the lock drum. So we started with the stock sound, the stock lock, and then we did this. Yeah, yo. Sorry guys, I'm a Logic person now, so it's been a while since I opened FL. It's a little bit weird, but so the trick with this is, I mean, we got the knock from the lock drum, but we need some low end. So the trick is to layer it with a sub bass. I mean, you might not hear this, but it's there together. You know, it's got much more body. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how. And also, I mean, I don't know how many FL users are in here, but you see this small little note right here? I don't know if you can see it on the projector, but it's there. Yeah.
You have to reduce it to like the tiniest. You put the thing on none and like drag it to the end, so it's like the tiniest.
Yeah,
you know.
It's very, very small. And that, it gives you a different hit. So if you got this, but this one right here, you hear that? Yeah, it's just playing around with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much what I did, man. Besides that, there are just small transitions, like, you know. I don't think we used this. Nah, we ended up not using this. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much what I did. I sent it over. I guess CK liked it, and then he got actual Big Fish to work on it. And yeah, you wanna break down the rest?
Just run through and I'll explain what I want. So we needed, because it has like this jazzy, feel to it. Christ did, and we just wanted to like amplify it a bit. So
Yeah.
I think that's the sax there.
And the saxophone. It's beautiful, man. What else? You guys layered the log drum with the snare, actually, because I didn't have a snare on here.
Yeah, just to amplify some of the hits. So you don't want to overdo it, just in pockets, important pockets. And then also sometimes you might want to listen to the acapella to hear what the artist is singing, so you don't like do it on top of his groove and like mess up the groove. Just find those pockets.
Yeah.
And then
what else? These are vocals, huh?
The violin, I guess.
Yeah, these are vocals. Oh yeah, then added a violin right at the end.
So we just wanted that romantic feel, that jazz romantic feel. So we just kept recording and recording instruments, and at the end of the day, we took out the unnecessary, and yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, man. That's a song, eh? Yeah. That's pretty much the song.
I really can't remember what else it is in this, but like,
It was a while back.
yeah,
It was a while back.
yeah. But it was.
But yeah, that's the one we did together. You want to check out another one?
Yeah.
I don't know what is here. You guys listen to AKA? Okay. I did this song for him called Lemons Lemonade. Okay, so this one, so the way AKA used to work, he would basically give you a sample. So he'd have a bunch of samples he wants to use. And then, yeah, it's just like, yo, can you do something to this? So the initial sample is this. It might be loud. So now, so remember we were talking about masters and publishing? So what happens when you sample a song, right? If you're using the actual audio of the song, you need to pay for the master, right? So there's two parts. We say there's publishing and there's master. So when you use the master of the song, you pay to use the master because it's someone else owns that master. So the trick around that is to replay parts. So if you replay, sorry, your English is running away. If you replay, you won't have to deal with the master side of things, but you still need to give them publishing. You get, so they're getting a percentage here. It's obviously up to negotiations, exactly how much they're gonna get. But yeah, so I think with this one, we knew it's gonna be big, man. We knew from the jump. So he was like, yo, I want us to replay everything. I don't want to give them, because they can ask for more. So yeah, we started this actually. What happened? Oh, we slowed it down. That was the first thing we did. If we can, yeah. No way. Hey. Yeah, so slowed it down a bit more. And then we got these guitars. I think those were the first thing we really worked on. And then we added chords. So I got a pad, which is, what is this? Yeah, it's like a light Rhodes. And we layered that with another one. And then there's another one. And yeah, all together. And that was for the sake of not having to use the actual sample, right? From then on, yeah, we just went to the percussion. It's actually a lot of loops here. It's crazy. Yeah, it's also a simple song, man. But then, so this was the first song I actually did with AKA, and he was aware of my log drum Smith talent. So he's like, yo, I need a log drum on this, So we went straight to the log drum, and this one is very simple. You can see the notes are very spaced out. We probably spent the whole night just going back and forth on the log drum because he was someone who was very particular and very, very stubborn. So when you're working with him, it's a lot of back and forth, Yeah, and this was it. What'd you say? You are the one who demystified log drum. Thank you, man. Thank you. So yeah, we had that section. So what I wanted us to do was so I like having two different bass lines because sometimes, when the log drum is going the whole time, it just gets boring. So we added the second side of this, and this is a Reese bass. And yeah, we played this live. We didn't even quantize anything. Like things are a little bit off time here and there, as you can see. It was just a feeling thing. And this is it.
Girls are sexy, make out a Pepsi. Ice, sugar. The bruise got the cruise in the cooler. If you snooze, then you lose, I maneuver. If you sleep, then I eat your pronoutra. I'm a legend, you 2-minute noodles. Why?
But he was just talking crap, man. He was just freestyling, just vibing. Don't judge the legend. Don't judge him for that. But we ended up keeping this. So I thought we were gonna re-record the hook, but we ended up keeping these actual vocals for the chorus.
Shut. Quick. Yes, sir. All in my feelings, I can't conceal it. I take it all away. I'm playing hard to get. This life is different. It's risky business. Lemons to lemonade. Lemons to lemonade. It tracks suit, Versace, pull out the set. Zip up the off-white, up to the neck. Turn up the AC, it's hot in the sack. Call out the slay queens, pull out the ace. Track suit, Versace, pull out the set. Zip up the off-white, up to the neck. Turn up.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's pretty much the song, guys. It's just vibes, but yeah.
Thankfully, but sadly, we have come to the end of this masterclass. But I would just like to take 3 questions from the crowd. Address it to one specific speaker. And if there's time to add notes, I'll prompt any of the other speakers to add. So who has questions?
Okay, let's go. Hi. My name is Kofi Taylor, producer for Meister Music.
Hey.
And I have 2 questions to ask, actually, if I'm allowed to. With the CK record, I wanted to ask Big Fish, how did you end up, mentally wise, how did you end up adding those additions to it? Did you dress it according to CK's vocals, or you just heard the beat and you went off by feeling?
When you hear music, you get oh, this is what it makes me feel, So when I heard the beat, I'm like, this thing's tight. I heard CK's vocals, I'm like, okay. CK's I think we need something to drive, we need something to open and close it. I'm like, okay, let me try out a few things. It always starts from trying, and I'm like, okay, because, it has this jazzy feel. It's only right to add, some woodwind and, some strings. So we tried it and it worked, Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My other question would be to Krista with the AKA record. You made mention that there were some verses that didn't make it to the original song. Now, was that a decision as a producer, or it was a decision made as him as an artist?
I think we did. Yeah, I think we probably did two different verses. But this one I played was the initial freestyle. He was just vibing off. And then we took this. So he recorded on Pro Tools. So I just gave him a bounce of this, and then he recorded on Pro Tools. And yeah, so he did 2 verses when we were there, and then he went home. I think 2 months later, he redid the verses again, and then removed his verse and called Nasty C to jump on the song as well. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, so how would you technically know that your song is done?
It's never done.
It's never done. You will never know. It's either you're like, oh, I've gotten there, or, oh, let me go back to version 1,
Yeah.
So
actually, that's what happened with you, because I think CK sent me some notes, then I changed the shaker, changed a few things, and then I sent it back, then he's like, nah, go back to the original. So you just never know. It's a feeling thing, I think.
Yeah, it's a gut feeling.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's a. I have a friend called Reynolds the Gentleman. He's a producer. I mix some of his stuff for him, and I think we all, the colleagues in the industry, we all know. With Reynolds, doesn't know when to stop, because he keeps layering and adding and adding, and we always fighting with him like, bro. So I think maybe at a point is you should be able to discipline yourself and say, so maybe you are going too far, or yeah.
That's
the
true.
The thing is, over time you will know when you're doing too much. It's experience, because I met someone, a producer at TMXO. I'm like, oh, I need you to run through this song, let me know what you feel about it. We open the stems and he's like, this, why is this here? Deleted it. This, why is this here? You don't need it. So he played me the version I sent in versus the version that he had removed stuff. He was like, you see, you didn't need those stuffs, like the bounce is there, so it's just a gut feeling, and experience will tell you.
I think if you can capture that feeling with as little instruments as possible, trust me, bro, that's that's a hit right there. Like with 4 or 5 elements.
I have a song that's literally kick, snare, kick, rim, and conga. That's all. Done. Maybe a hi-hat in the chorus was done, So if the feeling is there,
Yeah, I'm Beats by Pep. I get carried away and add some unnecessary stuff. And sometimes I don't know when to stop before I send the beat out to maybe an artist. So I was wondering if you have tips, because sometimes what I'm feeling might not be what the artist might want on the beat. I don't know if you get me. So I was wondering if I can get a tip on knowing when to stop, knowing when the beat is finished.
So for me, at some point, I used to get stuck, making beats. And then I figured that I just pull acapellas from YouTube and throw it on the beats. And then I figured that, I'm doing too much. So I start removing, I start taking out, just to let the beats breathe, just to let the artists hear themselves, So that's how it works for me. I get acapellas on YouTube and I throw it on there, and then it just helps me finish the beat faster. It helps your workflow. And the thing is that you can pitch down the same acapella and use to make 1,000, ideas. When you're sending it out to the artist, just mute the acapella and that's all. Yeah. You're good.
My question is around the business side of what a producer expects. So I work with musicians, but I haven't worked with a producer yet. And I just wanted to know if you guys have managers, or if you wanted one, what would you expect from them? This is me just trying to find out what your needs are.
Yeah, my manager is right outside. Yeah, so as a producer, you need a manager at some point, because it'll be too much. The thing is, you'll be putting in a lot of emotions into negotiations, and that's bad. That's very bad. It's like, this person is trying to cheat me, or this person feels like, I'm not worth so and so, So at some point, you need that. Your managers would, get you gigs. They would negotiate. They'll tell you, I feel like this would be good for this artist, There's 1,000,001 things they do, But yeah, at some point, you would know when you need one, But did I get your question right?
What your expectations are from the manager and the producer. So you said something like getting gigs. Would that be reliant on them?
No, not totally. Because there's only so much they can do. They won't know who you have in mind to work with, They can't do all the reaching out, all that. They can't do that. So you have to hustle. You have to reach out to people. You have to collab. You know what works for you. You know your sound. You know who works best with what you have, So it's just, if you can't reach them, you have them to go the official route that, I'm trying to work with this person. Do you by chance know this person's manager or this? They can do that. They have connections and all that. when it's not, when it's not personal, they can do that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
More than anything, a producer is looking for a representative with regards to a manager. They don't just want somebody who tell them what to do or what not to do, or find gigs, because it's also dependent on the producer's hustle. But it's more so helping them navigate the industry as to what they're hoping to get from all the people that they work with. Because sometimes we don't even have a conception of what we are expecting, because we can have a by chance meeting. We will go to Republic, have a few kokorokos, meet somebody. Before we know they are an artist, we go to the studio, work on a couple of things. So I would advise that if anybody is interested in managing a producer, they adopt the best friend module, where the manager says, okay, what were you up to today? What are you up to today? Who are you working with? And what are you hoping to get out of that? So that the best things come out of that partnership, as opposed to, hey, do this, work with this person, work with that person. Why did you send your beats to this person? Nah, it doesn't work like that. Because we will do what we want to. I'm sure with your experience with dealing with artists, they do what they want to anyways. The same with producers. So just a best friend who brings out the best out of the moves that are made by the producer. So now that we are approaching the close of the masterclass, any last words from our producers?
I just want to add on to the manager thing as well. Those will be my closing words. But I think for me, what I've realized, because I've worked with like a few different managers, and seems like the best for me was someone who can see my strengths and weaknesses. So I can sit with emails from people and I'm not responding. He will, so he'll take on that. But but when it comes to like building relationships and all of that, I'm good. If there's every now and then an opportunity to be like, hey, so and so wants to, but I don't think I have that expectation from my manager. It's just whatever I'm lacking, and he can observe and see. So I think it's going to be different for different producers. So maybe he's always in his emails and his DMs and his, but I'm not. So my manager would have to be like, yo, give me your logins. Let me, check your requests. Let's see who wants to reach out. So I think it's going to differ for each person.
Yeah. Okay, cool. But any last words?
Those are my last words. Thanks for having me. It's my first time in Accra. I definitely want to come back. It's been amazing.
My last words. Okay. I want you to go home and, feeling that nobody can do what you can do better than you. Even if you're making what everybody else is making, find a twist to it. That if people hear what you do somewhere, they're like, nah, it has to be this guy. It has, even if it's a minute thing, master it and like let people know that, this is how you can identify. Even if I don't put a tag on a song, that's what makes everybody different. That's what makes, our identities, our faces are different, If not, God would have just made everybody the same way. In as much as, that you have to find something that's unique and like, make that your identity. I wish you guys all the best. I hope somebody walks up to me someday in LA and like, oh, I was at this masterclass and, after this is what I did with myself and this is how far it has got to me. So, yeah, I wish you guys all the best.
Like we said, keep going at it, keep practicing. Things might not be clear in the beginning. Some of you might not, end up being producers forever. You might start, diverting into other. It's a huge umbrella to be like a producer. It's a very huge umbrella. Some of you might have opportunities and branch into video game stuff and everything, animations and all that stuff, So, just keep at it. Gradually, as you keep doing it, you start seeing what your strong areas are, and then naturally opportunities might present themselves, and then you just branch into it. I started out wanting to be like a DJ, and then I became a producer for a while, like mainly, and then I was like, nah. Then now I'm mixing and mastering, and looking at the way things are going, it might look like maybe I might. I don't know. Yeah, but just keep at it, and like they said, be cool, be vibely, Charlie. The way the world is going, it's how you relate with human beings. It's human beings that are going to call you and pay you, to do stuff for them. So don't be an ass. Charlie, be cool. Yeah, that's it. I want to also say thank you to Vibrate Spaces for this opportunity. Yeah, when we were coming up, we didn't really have this opportunity. It wasn't common like this. Like, we were looking for stuff like this, we couldn't find them. So, like, I'm very happy that they're able to organize this for, the youngins coming up to, get to meet people, like us, and then people above. I'm sure there are going to be other, editions where you get to meet other people in the industry, and yeah. So thank you. Yeah.
Can I Kanye a bit? Can I Kanye a bit? So one last thing.
We'll let you finish.
Very last thing. Please invest. When you make money, when you start making money, invest. Throw it into other things. Invest. Invest. Because music money won't be there forever. It won't be there forever. But
The focus right too won't last forever. Yeah, so on that note, I'm thankful for everybody who made the time. I hope we poured into you a lot of things that you can apply later in your production journey. If you feel like anything was lacking, get their Instagram handles, make the most of the networking session today, and just keep your ears out for new updates when it comes to Vibrate Spaces and the masterclasses and the workshops that we are having. It was wonderful of you to make the time to be here to learn all of these things. And going forward, we hope that next time it will be one of you seated here giving tips to encourage the next generation. And on that note, thank you for attending.